Anyway, um, on to today's subject, and we have a guest who we have ignored, as is our custom, up until this point in time. So, for those listening in, please state your full name for the record.
Zachary Petroni.
Thank you very much. Now Zach is here as an honorable guest. Maybe let me drop the honorable bit. He's here as a guest for reasons that will become clear as we proceed. But before we go too far, there are some things you must be made aware of, Zach.
Right.
So when you're on the show, there are certain laws you need to abide by. The first of which is a robot may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. The second. Those aren't actually the how we try to do things. Those are the 3 laws of robotics by Isaac Asimov. So we actually no, maybe a guideline, but something the guy behind the mic would find easier is we strive to keep this show as family friendly as possible, so that those of us with children, the guy behind the mic, can share their work, can share the fruits of their work with their children and their mothers and grandmothers, and we love you. Anyway, welcome, Zach.
Thank you.
Now, we brought you in for a very interesting purpose, and that is to pick your brain a bit. So, to get the ball rolling, could you tell us a bit about yourself? Your background and
Sure thing.
He's thinking, so you can imagine Claude.
No, well, how far to go back? All the way back. Born, raised, schooled in the States.
Yeah, sure. That
cool.
That works. I mean that works.
Have been operating in sub-Saharan Africa now for the past 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Started in the not-for-profit space,
mm-hmm.
and kind of took a stepwise trajectory out of the impact space and into the realm of for-profit.
Mm-hmm.
And consecutively moved earlier stage with each step. And have done stuff around Kenya, tiny bit in Tanzania, some in Uganda, and then recently in Nigeria as well.
Excellent. Are you allowed to name any names of where you may or may not have been at?
Yeah, sure. So some of the names that folks might know, Komaza in the social enterprise space.
Mm-hmm.
Theirs is a microforestry based out in Kilifi, and then from my knowledge now I have some operations up country as well. And then the bigger name would be Safe Boda. Led the expansion into Nigeria with some of the expansion team and the global team.
Excellent. How many countries does Safe Boda operate in? Because I'm genuinely asking for myself.
Now we're then.
Then
it was 3.
Mm-hmm.
In kind of late 2020, there was a decision to pull out of Kenya and Nairobi.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's just Uganda and Nigeria.
Excellent. And it's actually what you've been involved in that's kind of led us to take a bit of an interest in you, in terms of the roles you've fulfilled or taken up in the different organizations. So if we venture into material that should be struck off the record, your safe word is this is off the record, or right. Any creative variation of that. So if you could give us a bit of a brief on that, or just tell us a bit about what you've been involved in or what you've done in one or more of those organizations?
Yeah, so SafeBoda was well, when I joined SafeBoda, there was certainly a push following a fundraise prior to the next raise to expand geographic presence. Certainly some time, effort, resources put behind expansion. There was high-level agreement across the company that the expansion, so initial expansions were sought around East Africa, just given geographic proximity, kind of similar markets, similar culture sets to work with. Obviously, whenever you're talking about expanding in Sub-Sahara, Nigeria is the elephant in the room. And so when I dropped in, it was right post the decision that Nigeria would be the more of the focus than any other East African market. So this was 2019, mid 2019, and the role, the role cut across kind of initially working super small team, myself and the country head, and then 1-2 other individuals from afar. Still answering the question of, is this the right move? I think that there was, and largely because at this point, so to add a bit of context here, this was when the quote-unquote ride-hailing wars were really picking up. There were 2 other longer-term players in Lagos at the time in the Nigerian market. So at the broadest level, at the time, you had SafeBoda in East Africa. And then you had in the Nigerian market, Max, Okada, you had GoKada, and then you had what became O-Ride, O-Pay, which is Opera, or funded by Opera. Those other players were established in Lagos. There was, and then Max had established in one other city outside. But then there was a string of incidences kind of early to mid 2019 that made operating in Lagos specifically, which is by far and away, ostensibly from afar, the biggest market, the one that everyone seems to be interested in or seemed to be interested, the market that was really the crown jewel, the one to vie for and to fight over. There was a series of regulations, both in terms of kind of aimed at professionalizing, kind of adding standards into the Okada market, the Boda market, the two-wheeled ride-hailing space, and that meant that it would have been the nature of engaging there would have been different. So just, I mean, to strip it apart, that meant that bikes could only ply, bikes 200cc and above could only ply kind of the main thoroughfares, and then smaller bikes, so your Bajaj 125 and your Boxer 150s, could do the inner streets. And then there was, and this was prior to my time, and I cannot take credit for it. I wish I could, but I can't. There was also offline conversations going on around that push with the bike, the CC limits and everything, but broader efforts to quote unquote modernize the transportation infrastructure, the mobility infrastructure in Lagos, and what that meant was then seemingly publicly a welcoming of players like SafeBoda, Max, GoKada into the market, but then behind closed doors or implicitly in awareness that there was not a long-term welcome in that market in particular. So when I dropped in, we were starting already to look at other markets, and